the submersible missing somewhere near the wreck of the Titanic, with, we understand, 5 people on board. Among them, British billionaire Hamish Harding, who was one of the mission specialists. We understand Harding is a record-breaking adventurer who went to the South Pole with former astronaut Buzz Aldrin back in 2016 and into space on board Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket just last year. Well, I'm joined now by Jannicke Mikkelsen, a Norwegian explorer and a friend of Hamish Harding. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sky News at such a worrying time for anyone that knows Hamish and the other 4 on board. Perhaps you can just give us an idea as to how Hamish Harding came to be on board this submersible.
Hamish he's through and through an explorer. I don't know how he came to come on board. All of a sudden, he just texted me and said, "I'm going to the Titanic." I'm used to Hamish doing elaborate expeditions. I mean, suddenly he's in space, suddenly he's at the South Pole, suddenly he's at the Mariana Trench. It does take quite a bit of preparation for these expeditions, but we sort of consider the Titanic to be one of the easier expeditions, as Hamish has already flown to space and he has already dove down to the Mariana Trench, which is an 8-hour dive to reach the bottom of planet Earth.
Yeah, Jannicke, when we talk about, subs, we think about submarines, we talk about submariners, those who have dedicated their lives to going to the depths of the ocean and the years of training that comes with that. We talk about explorers and adventurers. Yes, you have experience, as by the sounds of it, Hamish did, going into space, going to the poles. But do you think there's adequate preparation amongst those that we understand to be on board for if something goes wrong? Talk to me about what kind of training Hamish may have had for something like that, because he will have understood the risks, but I would imagine it's something you never think you will face.
I think it's important to understand that this isn't just a joyride for billionaires. It is scientific research being performed on board these expeditions. And such expensive expeditions do rely on people such as Hamish who are willing to sponsor the expedition, but also take the risk and take their lives into their own hands. There is a lot of training behind such expeditions. We've already had heavy training for the dive down to the Mariana Trench with Victor Vescovo as co-pilot. I think it's important as an explorer to be calm and collected. I used Hamish as an inspiration, but also as my mentor when we run into trouble, when our airplane froze as we were circumnavigating Earth and flying over the South Pole. We had to keep calm and collected so that we could reach the nearest airport, which was Punta Arenas.
Jannicke, you've experienced deep diving yourself, so you'll have some idea of what it's like to be in the kind of equipment we just saw on our screen there, in this submersible, which is so small. I mean, it's unfathomable to most people watching this afternoon, the idea of going into something like this, to go so far beneath the surface of the ocean. Give us some kind of idea of what it's like.
I think most people who start scuba diving or even just free diving can easily get down to about 10 meters, which is 1 bar of atmosphere. When you get down to where the Titanic is, this is 3,800 meters, the body would experience 400 times that pressure. That is the sort of pressure, there's no chance you could survive. Humans are not supposed to be at that sort of depth. It's an impossible feat, actually.
Jannicke, I can tell this is difficult for you to talk about, as, we look at these images. I mean, it's such a small craft with 5 people on board. They have been missing for some time now, but let's, try and look at the positives of the situation in terms of, as you said, the headlines will say these are adventurers, these are billionaires on board, but they come with a wealth of experience that kind of wealth can afford. They're doing it for scientific purposes, they're doing it for philanthropy, all sorts of, reasons that aren't just, as you said, some kind of joyride. So presumably there are level heads on board that sub. You talk
Hamish
about...
will be
Yeah. Talk to me about
Well,
Hamish. Give us an idea of the kind of competence and the kind of man he is that will guide him through this.
Hamish will definitely be an important asset to the team. I have no doubt that he will be calm and collected, and he will go through the emergency procedures and checklists together with the pilot and captain of the submersible. And he will also be a good inspiration to the rest of the team to keep calm and collected as well. I really believe that Hamish is the one who can also help lead this team because he has been in tricky situations in the past on expeditions.
Jannicke, when this reaches a conclusion, whatever that may be, and, as we said, we are looking for the positives in this at the moment. We haven't had news just yet, so we're very much keeping an open mind as to what is going on as that search and rescue mission continues. But in terms of the kind of safety and regulations that are in place with these kind of expeditions, do you think there are going to be questions to ask about that? Because we've had a look at, the submersible in a bit of detail since this news emerged, and it seems quite rudimentary for something that is, as you said, dangerous. Is there enough safety and regulation in place when it comes to these kinds of expeditions, do you think? You're putting your life in their hands.
I think all expeditions come with a high risk factor. There isn't much left on planet Earth that hasn't been achieved that's already been achieved. And if it was easy, it would have been done already. Hamish knows that he goes into every single expedition with a high level of risk. And I do believe that his training will serve him well because he is a seasoned pilot. He has proven his durability by flying into space and also diving down to the Mariana Trench and also expedition to the South Pole. I have full faith in Hamish as a valuable crew member here. I am terrified if they are stuck at the bottom of the ocean with 96 hours of air and not able to get back to the surface. This is what I fear the most.